Capital Combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem Branch.
Rob Jarrell.
And today we're going to recap this past weekend's action, which we had Amir Khan versus Khan-Algieri on Friday night, and on Saturday we had Kell Brook versus Brook-Gavin. Both fights in the welterweight division. We're going to start with Khan-Algieri. Rob, take it away.
Kind of have a lot to say about this fight because it was not what we and probably anyone else viewing it expected. While Amir Khan did get the win in a unanimous decision, it was a lot tougher than probably what he thought, and Algieri performed not only differently, but he performed so way past expectations in this fight. What we were expecting to see was Algieri that fought off his back foot, that boxed and tried to use more defense with his legs to keep Khan off of him. Now, I'm trying to think of my first fight, the keys to Algieri was kind of make him feel something. Yeah. Keep Amir Khan off him and stick the jab. What we got was Algieri meeting Amir Khan in the middle of the ring. And not only meeting Amir Khan, but beating him out there to the middle of the ring and being in his face and walking him down the entire fight. We looked at the advantages that each one had over each other. Algieri was taller. I believe he had the longer reach. Amir Khan had the athleticism and the speed and the skill advantage at this point. What we saw was great toughness from Algieri, a great plan, and a lot of will in this fight, where Amir Khan was taken extremely out of his comfort zone and away from his plan, because you could see at multiple times during the fight, if you looked at his face, that he, I want to say, was not confused, but a little befuddled, because this was not what they were expecting, and you just saw the discomfort on his face when Algieri was there.
Yeah, I mean, like Rob said, we said Algieri had to land something to hurt Khan, and he did hurt him within, like, I think it was like the first minute or so of that fight. He landed a big right hand and buckled Khan. Unfortunately, he couldn't catch that lightning in a bottle again, but he did expose a lot of flaws that are still in Amir Khan's game. He still has some work to do to shore up his defense. A lot of times when people get in close on him, he kind of grabs and holds rather than, you know, like his inside game is pretty much non-existent at all. He did land some nice body shots. He can land some body shots, but he's mostly a long to mid-range fighter. But what Khan-Algieri did was stay in his face, and like Rob said, it made him very uncomfortable. He was still able to land most of the time the more judge-friendly punches. He definitely outworked Algieri, but there was a lot of times Algieri caught him in between his punches. There's a lot of times he punched over Khan's punches, so he punched with him, he punched around him. He beat him to the punch a lot. And now with the speed that Algieri has, that can be expected every now and then, but he did it repeatedly. That's a good thing for him. Unfortunately, he didn't do it enough to win the fight. So you got to give him props for going out there, changing his complete style. Like, you had never seen him fight like that before. And a lot of credit to that goes to him finding a new trainer and learning from that new trainer. A lot of times you see guys find new trainers and they don't actually really change up a lot of things. You see some changes in Amir Khan from his changes in trainers over the years, and now you're seeing some change in Khan-Algieri. That they want to learn and they are implementing what they learned, you have to give them both kudos for that. Now they do have to go back to the drawing board because, one, like I said, a lot of Khan's flaws were still showing up. He was still getting hit with the left hook repeatedly. The overhand right for Algieri was landing all night. He was getting roughed up by a supposedly weaker man on the inside. So he's got to work on those things, especially if he wants to fight Floyd Mayweather. He's got to work on those things. Otherwise, he might be in some trouble when he fights, if he gets that Mayweather fight. That's the one he's talking about. He's been talking about it for years. Now, I guess we just wait and see if that happens. Now, Algieri has made himself a player in the division.
Now, he's still the champ. He still has a belt at 140, right?
No.
It's gone?
Once he fought Pacquiao at 147, they stripped him of that
Okay,
belt.
they had to strip him.
So he could go back down to 140. He could stay at 147. It's up to him. Like he can actually get some good paydays as well. The Pacquiao showing wasn't great, but the Amir Khan showing probably gained a lot of people's respect.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a tall guy. He's 5'10", 5'11"-ish. He's a tall guy. He was fighting at 140. It shouldn't be too hard for him to put on that weight, stay at 147. Let's face it, there are big fights at 140 and 147, so the money is there.
Right.
That's not going to be an issue. It's just a showing. And again, like you said, the new trainer, bringing in John David Jackson into the camp, and not only learning but buying into what he's talking about. Like I said, it was a completely different style than what we're used to seeing, and probably what he's used to doing and implemented in his fight, especially the plan, which we've seen that, again, Amir Khan doesn't really do well from close and mid-range or against guys who provide constant pressure. And he knocked down Maidana with a hellacious body shot, but Maidana never gave up, and he constantly, it was part of his style, pressed the fight, which is what Algieri brought, and I think it provided some kind of mental fatigue and almost a panic at times against Amir Khan, because you could start seeing that those punches were landing, and that they actually had an effect on Khan, and especially from a guy who's not known as a puncher.
Yeah, a lot of times Khan reverted back to some of his old mistakes. Like there was a few times where he left his feet behind him when he punched, and that was a few reasons why Algieri is able to capitalize on some of the mistakes he did. Because of that, it got to a point where Amir Khan was just kind of trying to keep him off of him. He fought almost amateurish, like he was just throwing punches to be throwing punches, like not really trying to place him, put anything on him, but he just wanted to score some points and get on with it. And it was successful. Unfortunately, like I said, if he gets that fight with Mayweather, that's not gonna fly with Mayweather. So he's got to get into the gym and he's got to work.
And we know Mayweather can, if he wants to, walk someone down.
Yeah,
we've seen him do it.
We've seen Mayweather do just about everything. I haven't seen him score a one-punch knockout, but you know, we're not talking about Mayweather here. We're talking about Amir Khan and Chris Algieri.
But again, with Khan, he's got to learn to stay within himself and within the plan, especially if you have to adjust, and that comes from trust from Virgil Hunter, who is a world-class trainer. With Algieri, continue to build with John David Jackson, to adapt, to learn, to buy into, because one, to me, it would extend his career. He will be better in the long run and make more money against those bigger names. Not just a Khan, but if he, he has to go out there, not has to go out there, but if he goes out there and fight the Bromas of the world, the Devin Alexander, the Robert Guerrero, and these are not top names, but these are guys in the top 15. Because I don't think we're not going to see him fight Mayweather. Just those kind of fights, and I think that's what we're going to see. It just adds another player to 147. It makes everything just that much more interesting at this point.
Yeah, and as you know, we have said plenty of times, there's welterweight behind the class. It's deep and it's exciting. Junior, super, regular, doesn't matter. Let's move on to the next welterweight fight, which is Kell Brook and Brook-Gavin. This is Kell Brook's second defense of his IBF world title. He won from Sean Porter back late last year. And in Gavin, we had a gold medalist who has decent skills. He just wasn't fast enough, strong enough. Like, this was a perfectly, like, on paper, Brook-Gavin looks really good in the ring. Like, if that was your first time seeing him fight, you'd be like, man, this guy has no business being in the ring. with Kell Brook. And a lot of that has to do with the confidence that Kell Brook now has as a champ who has defended his title and believes in himself. Like, you could see from like the ring walk to the introductions to the bell from round one, Kell Brook knew he was the boss, and he just knew he was gonna go in there and he was gonna beat the crap out of Brook-Gavin, and he did. He had that long jab pumping. He was very precise with his combinations. When Gavin did get on the inside, he was not the stronger man there either. It was all Kell Brook all the time. This was, you know, a guy with a good name. He has a decent following in the country, and the arena was packed, so they knew what they were doing. But unfortunately, the fights that Kell Brook needs to like really solidify himself as a player in that division, I don't think guys are going to be too excited to step up and take that fight, like the up and coming guys here in America, or some of the established guys. I don't think they're going to really be jumping at the bit to take a Kell Brook fight at the moment. As you can see, Amir Khan wants no parts of him. And that would be a huge fight.
Especially in England.
It would be a huge fight, period.
But imagine Wembley Stadium, 80,000 people showing up to watch this fight. This is probably the biggest fight that can be made in Great Britain, England, whatever you want to say, right now, of any fighter in that country between two British fighters.
Yeah, I could say that. Someone from that area might disagree. If they know who's bigger, they can let us know. But I think that would be the biggest fight, and that'd probably be the biggest fight in the division as well. Because
well, I mean, that can be made from now. We knew the biggest fight that passed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's in the past. We forget about that one. Now, Amir Khan and Kell Brook is the biggest fight in that division, and we unfortunately probably won't see it because Amir Khan is chasing Floyd Mayweather. Which
I understand, the money's there. If you beat him, you take pound for pound the guy out. Do I see it happening? No. But how do you draw him into that, especially if he fights in September and you want that, that 50th fight, trying to get him? You fight the guy who is the dude in your country, because right now I'm pretty sure that country is split on who they support between Kell Brook and Amir Khan. You win that fight regardless if it's Brook or Khan, and then you take on Mayweather. That is something different. That is bringing a whole country. That is what Ricky Hatton had when he fought Mayweather.
Yep.
And that's, business-wise, it makes sense, but it is a difficult fight. I think Kell Brook at this point is more confident. He's shown patience in the ring. You can see that he is like knocking out these guys. And I think before the Porter fight, he had knockouts, but when he had that kind of step up, it was just tough fights. And now it's like, you know what? I got a belt. I'm on top of the world right now, and I'm knocking out guys. And we know now with Eddie Hearn, who is his promoter, wants those top 10 guys. He wants Bradley, he wants Thurman, he wants Khan, he wants what am I missing? Help me out.
Thurman? Did you say Thurman?
I said Thurman. He'll fight Brolin, he'll fight Porter again. And it's not that I don't think people want to fight Brook, yet I don't think they want to fight overseas. But I think there's guys out there that they would want to fight. Of course, the money has to be right.
Out of all those names, I think Tim Bradley would be the guy to be like, you know what? Send me a contract. I'll fight him.
Especially if he wins this vacant belt versus Jesse Vargas. June 20th?
Yes.
June 20th.
No, it's the 27th.
June 27th. Yeah. That's coming at the end of the month. Would it be an interesting fight? Yes, it would.
Yeah. So out of all those, that'd probably be the guy most want to see him fight, because Bradley's a tough SOB. He's a strong SOB. And he's been 24 rounds with the second best fighter of the generation. So that would be a huge feather in Kell Brook's cap if he is to get past him, which would be a tall order in order to do so. But props to Kell Brook. He has actually gotten much better than, like you said, like when those other fights he had stepped up and looked a little shaky. He learned from those, implemented some new changes, and has actually gotten better from learning from those shaky moments. That's all you can really ask for a fighter. Learn from your mistakes, get better, keep performing in the ring. And that's what he's doing.
Now, before we leave, there were other fights that happened this weekend on a good card. Anthony Joshua destroyed Kevin Johnson. They're saying 2 rounds. I counted 1, but it was a very...
It was 2.
It was 2? Okay.
It was 2 official rounds, but that fight should have been over in the first round.
Because he destroyed Kevin Johnson in 2 rounds. Please look up that fight. It is on YouTube. You don't have to watch log. It's just going to happen. Lee Selby beat Evgeny Gradovich.
Yeah.
And that was just a good fight. I think Lee Selby made himself the player over Gradovich in the featherweight division.
Well, I wouldn't say he made himself the player.
Well, a player.
A player.
Yeah, I mean, because Evgeny Gradovich was undefeated, if I was not mistaken, going into that fight.
I think so.
So you take a man's belt, you take a man's O.
Yeah.
He
has put that division on notice.
That's right.
Also, Jorge Linares beat Kevin Mitchell in a good fight.
That was a good fight.
All of this was on the undercard to Kell Brook and Frankie Gavin.
That's right. And on the other fight, that was on the undercard to Algieri, Amir Khan. They had a good fight with
Javier Fortuna and was it Brian Vasquez?
Yes, with Brian Vasquez. Javier Fortuna won a hard-fought match. It was a very good match. If you can look that up or if you watch that, I mean, it was a great fight. So
yes, that's it for this episode, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like this episode. Comment below if you have anything you want to add. Share it with your friends, all your fight friends. You can find us on Facebook, Capital of Combat, Google Plus, same name. Also, shout out to the gentleman who sent us a link to view the fights over in England. I can't think of your name exactly, but thank you. But he hit us up on Facebook. Google Plus, you can follow us on Capital of Combat as well. You can hit us up on our email, capitalofcombat@gmail.com. Any of those, you got a question, we get you in the combat mailbag. We got the technical toolbox. We got plenty for you. So if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.
This is round 1, and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is come at a cost. My fists are on fire. I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage. Keep thinking that it's a game. I kick rhyme, hurricane. I told them I don't play. I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.